We are reading the books we already own, okay? We're working on our shelf control, okay? If you're new here, I'm going through my bookshelf one book at a time, reading the ones I haven't read yet and deciding what gets to stay and what's gotta go. And I just finished reading Leviathan by Scott Westerfeld. I bought this book a while ago because I wanted to read something that was like retro-futurism, steampunky, that kind of vibe. And of course, I proceeded to put it on my shelf and not read it. This book is basically an alternate history version of the events leading up to World War I. Alternate history in that like certain events have been changed, but also in the fact that some countries have like giant genetically engineered animals that they use in warfare. Other countries are using giant steam-powered machinery. We follow two characters, one of which is Alexander Ferdinand, the Prince of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. His parents have just been unalived, he is on the run. The other is Darren Sharp, who is a commoner girl who has disguised herself as a boy in order to join the British Air Force. Through these two characters, we sort of get to see how these two countries are being run, and also a bunch of events leading up to the war. The world here is really fascinating. This genetically engineered creatures meets steampunk meets World War I. It's all very good. It all works really well together. And I'll be honest, the world building and the fascination of that is doing a lot of the heavy lifting in this book because there's not a ton of story here. This book is the first in a trilogy, and it does fall into the trap of a lot of young adult books where it doesn't really have a beginning, middle, and end. It sort of does a lot of setup and relies on the fact that you will hopefully read the other two books in order to actually get the full story. And if you've been here for a while, you know that I hate that because A, it ends up making your first book feel more like a prequel, and B, it tells me that you might not know how to write an ending. And that is deeply concerning if I'm gonna go on a multi-book journey with you. So normally, this would be the part of this video where I tell you I'm gonna unhaul this. However, there's just one problem. I really loved the main characters. Well, to be clear, I really loved one of the main characters. The other one was just okay. Darren, the girl disguising herself as a boy to join the Air Force, is a fantastic character. I just love her. I love her story. I love her demeanor. I just love how bold and brave she is. And Alex, the prince character, is fine, but his story is not necessarily like new or different. In fact, it wasn't until he and Darren eventually met that I ended up starting to really adore his character just because I liked how the two of them were together. And because I enjoyed these two main characters so much, I think I maybe want to continue at least one more book. So I picked up the second book. By the way, I hate that these covers like match, but also don't match. Like what? They match here. Okay, so there's at least that, but why are the texts in different? That drives me crazy. Luckily, these are pretty quick, easy reads, so it's not necessarily a huge time commitment to keep going with the series. Also, I do want to mention that Alan Cumming actually reads the audiobooks for these, which is just like really fun. Like, side note, the end papers of these are really cool. Like that's a map, but it's also a creature. The art in the second book is just as cool, if not cooler. But yeah, I'm gonna give it one more book before I decide on the unhaul or not. This actually came out in 2009, so I'm curious if any of you have actually read this. I had never heard of this book until I found it on like a list of like retro-futurism steampunk books, and it looked cool, so I picked it up. They will look good on the shelf if I keep them. I don't know. I'm gonna read book 2 and I'm gonna hope the plot improves. And then we'll either read book 3 or we'll get back to going through this shelf. What are you reading off of your bookshelf this week, and is it worth keeping or not? Let me know in the comments.